Dear Metropolitan Police, your job is to uphold the law. Your job is to enforce the law. Your job is not to show bias. Your job is not to be selective with evidence, even if it is under the guise of discretionary. Your job is not to protect the feelings of the supposed victim. Your job is, along with investigators, the job to find out who is the real criminal. Perpetrators, be the Hercule Poirot, as it were. Your job while working towards targets, and yes, I am very much aware of that, your job is not then to stick someone in prison for something they didn't do, even though you yourselves have the evidence that would prove they are innocent. I think I'm done with that. Now let's get into the meat of this irritation I have with the Metropolitan Police. Because the Metropolitan Police in my country are what a lot of people aspire to be as far as police officers go, law enforcement. And I can say that from experience, not my own, but my friends, all of whom were on the beat either as community support officers, wanting to become police officers, but they all wanted to work for the Metropolitan. That's where they saw their careers. And I think when you have partaken in messing up on such a grand scale, it tarnishes your reputation, as if your reputation's that good to begin with. Let's face it, enough people refuse to report crimes because they don't want to be seen as a grass, but also because, well, they can't trust you, can they? So let's first of all dive into what it is that has incurred my ire. And yes, we're going to be talking about that ever so slightly advertiser-friendly false rape. An apology doesn't cut it at all. Innocent student falsely accused of rape tells of fury at police for turning his life upside down as it's revealed the victim carried on texting him asking for sex after the incident. To summarise this, Liam Allen was on bail for 2 years before his trial was ceased abruptly. Now, this is because, while accused of 6 rapes and 6 sexual assaults, which then, if proven guilty, would have gotten him 10 years in jail, the trial collapsed because there were 40,000 messages exchanged which showed that she had pestered him for sex after the supposed rape incident. Now, there was a reason given for this. According to the investigators, this evidence was considered too personal, which shows an incredible level of incompetence on the Met's part. They had the messages, they reviewed the messages, and they did nothing with it for 2 years. Now, the court has asked for an inquiry on the highest level, because the man who was in charge of that evidence, has been involved in other cases of rape, which is a concern if those people all found guilty were found to be innocent, because this could backfire, especially when it goes to the compensation department, and rightly so. This student was innocent. This person has since been on TV with their mum, and their mum even said, "I feel sorry for her," which was the headline of the article, which I've linked below. It seems quite clickbaity, but when you think about it, it actually makes sense. That person, while not being charged with being the real culprit, although not a rape, more of a perjury thing, they are, while anonymous, unable to speak of what happened. They are guilty and they know it. They screw up. They're going to screw up on a colossal level. They're going to be caught out. This guy can't tell anyone who she is. That's not to say others don't know who she is, and I would never condone putting her out there, but I do think there is an inconsistency here in the law, and I've said this multiple times. As far as I'm concerned, until a conviction happens, everyone should be anonymous. It should be anonymous until convicted, if at all. And if not convicted, the other person, the, quotes, victim, the original victim, should then be charged and prosecuted and put away and punished suitably for it. My view on this has remained the same for years. You waste police time, you waste valuable taxpayers' money, you waste an entire courtroom. Why? A vendetta? Not worth it. Not worth it at all. When you falsify rape, there is a stigma attached to it, one that has lasted for a long, long time. That guy's name gets dragged through the mud, and we can take this back to Ched Evans, the footballer, who was sent to prison for 5.5 years, served 2.5 years. In my country, footballers are paid a lot of money, even if they're in the first division. He was earning good money at Sheffield United. Was it Sheffield Wednesday? Sheffield United? Like I care. I don't support either team. Go Spurs. But he served 2.5 years and was later found to be proven innocent. It was all dropped, but his career had been ruined. His name is regularly brought up. Jessica Ennis, an athlete in this country, heptathlete, so, jack of all trades, master of none, gold medalist, said that she wanted her name removed from one of the stands if he ever signed with them again. And then when he was proven innocent, silence. Of course, now this brings into question, because he was convicted, what happened. And this is the same with another case where a guy served 2.5 years and was then proven to be innocent. So now it brings into question what on earth the Met are doing with the evidence. Because in Ched Evans' case, some of the evidence was omitted, and it was the same with the other guy that served 2.5 years, which I've linked below. And it's again the same here, and if the evidence hadn't been found, he'd be in prison. This guy would have his life ruined. As far as I'm concerned, there needs to be an overhaul in how you're determining which evidence should or should not be seen by the court, by the jury, by anyone. That's an immense amount of power you have. And what have you done with it? You've decided that someone isn't worth being free, or some evidence is considered too personal. Are you kidding? This is a case about rape. How much more personal do you want to get? Now, just before we proceed, I want to play a small clip from a TV show called This Morning, where the real victim spoke out about this. This was the same interview where his mother said she felt sorry for the victim. Bloody bitch. And I want to talk about what he says in this clip, because I think it demonstrates the kind of man he is. One which has good values, but also understands they screwed up and they should pay for it.
The next steps are obviously probably going to be to sue. But I've said this on numerous occasions, I'm happy to work with them. With the platform that I've got at the moment, I'm more than happy to sit down in a room with all the important people.
Well, that's very generous.
Which is, in and of itself, a rather kind sentiment, considering what they did to you. My view on this is quite simple. The first part only. Screw working with them, because they can't be trusted. But I can accept that if some people have the patience and tolerance to put up with their nonsense long enough, not only a settlement can be reached, but also a suitable solution that protects everyone, and also ensures that those in the remarkably privileged position of selecting which evidence is required isn't given so much power that they don't exactly answer to anyone until it's too late. So the next part I want to talk about is rape anonymity in the United Kingdom. Anonymity for men and women accused of rape until conviction was in place for 12 years until 1988 when it was repealed. At the time, one of the main reasons given was that the public could not be warned by police if a suspect rapist was on the run, for example, without asking for a judge's permission first. Margaret Thatcher's government also wanted to rebalance the system in favour of victims, and in high-profile cases encourage other victims to come forward. Bullshit. People accused of rape in Britain can be named, and cases involving public figures often attract significant media attention. Look at Hollywood. Not saying that's in the United Kingdom, but that's one hell of a thing. Parliament has considered the idea of anonymity for those accused of rape on a number of occasions. The previous coalition government said it would extend anonymity in rape cases to defendants. However, having undertaken an assessment of the evidence, it concluded in 2010 that there was insufficient reliable evidence to justify a change in the law. Yet it is fine for the victim, the supposed victim, to retain it, even after she has been proven to be lying through her fucking teeth. Anonymity is not granted for rape defendants in any other common law country, with the exception of the Republic of Ireland. There, a rape defendant's identity can be made public only if they are convicted of rape. Clearly, we all need to move to the Republic of Ireland. So the final thing I want to address before I end this is something mentioned by Watchdog. The Watchdog boss Richard Foster had said new technology makes police work harder, which is no excuse whatsoever. On the week that this article was made, which is the 24th of December, 5 cases of non-disclosures came to light. What on earth are you doing? How many more people are hurt? Do I have to put on my tinfoil hat for this? The failure by police officers and prosecutors to hand over crucial evidence is the #1 cause of unsafe convictions, experts had warned last week. Richard Foster, chairman of the Criminal Cases Review Commission, told the Mail on Sunday that non-disclosure of material that could prove a suspect's innocence is the biggest single problem affecting the right to a fair trial. Well, this is the thing. Justice is meant to be blind, not biased or working towards a target. You can then attribute some of that to government intervention, restructuring of the system if you want. You can blame whoever you want. The onus is on you, though, the Metropolitan Police. Now, Richard Foster also went on to claim, because of an explosion of emails, text messages, social media posts, CCTV footage, Big Brother, has made the work harder for detectives, while the police budgets have shrunk. Yes, they have, and that sucks. I actually stand with you that your budgets shouldn't be cut as much as they are, but I do understand that there isn't exactly much to invest in it. We all, in all walks of life, have to adapt to social evolution. Sociological evolution, is that a thing? We're evolving, not physically, but our society is at an incredible rate, and you, law enforcement, have to get on board with this. I don't want it to end up being, and I can see this happening, just a body, an entity, one entity, juries, executioners, judges. I'm sorry, this is very inappropriate to laugh at, but there is absolutely no excuse. Yes, social media and Big Brother, as most would call it, emails really don't help. Well, they do help, but they don't help with the workload, but it's on you guys to adapt to it. Change your training to work around it, to adapt to it. And Mr. Foster does say that that is no excuse, because failure to do it right was a failure to uphold the rule of law, which is exactly it. Scotland Yard has announced it is reviewing all ongoing rape cases after the collapse of a second sex trial, that of Isaac Itieri? Sorry. Over disclosure problems. This is the same problem again, and this is where Scotland Yard are investigating previous cases as well that were being overseen by one person, the person responsible for that first guy we were talking, the innocent student. Now, early on I mentioned a guy who served 2.5 years in prison for something he hadn't done. And what happened, and this is where the disclosure comes into it, the complainant had deleted Facebook messages showing their sex had been consensual. These messages were since found. There was another case which again shows how bad this is. And I know people now are going to say, oh, but the statistics show these are few in number, but they shouldn't happen at all. They really shouldn't. It shouldn't be a statistic. Justice should be served. There shouldn't be wrongful convictions. The evidence should all be there. The fact that people are serving shows a failing in the system. A failing by the police, a failing by prosecutors even, failing even by the jury if it's that close. But in these cases, there's another one I'm going to read quickly. The CCRC itself referred to the Court of Appeal the case of a man jailed for sex with an underage girl in 2007 after its investigators found a body of relevant information had not been disclosed to the defense. I hope, and I say this again, every single one of these people gets compensation. I also hope the complainants, the vindictive fucks that set the wheel in motion to put some of these people in prison, they themselves receive justice. Or should it be the wrongfully convicted or accused receive justice? That's what I meant to say. That. Anyway, Metropolitan Police, you suck. Get your ass in gear. Find out where it is you put your law and start enforcing it properly again. You are paid to do that. Don't complain because your work got harder. Adapt. Be the Borg you were born to be. Just don't assimilate. And don't be biased or vindictive little pricks that hide the evidence. And to everyone else, have a lovely day.